I was sitting at my desk during some reading time in my classroom, and I needed to write down the name of a student. Um, I'm I'm right-handed, and I don't know really why this particular moment I decided to pick up the pencil with my left hand, but I probably was doing something with um, my right hand at the time, multitasking, and I just decided on a whim to write that student's name with my left hand. And anyone who's, written something without using their dominant hand knows that ends up being a bit, uh, you could say, it's like crap. But for me, when I looked at it, I recognized something that I hadn't before, which was that my handwriting looked a lot like what it looked like when I started to write. And I kind of went down this rabbit hole at that point. I realized, like, wait a minute, I can teach myself to write with I can write with my left hand. I could get my handwriting be better. I've always had trouble with my handwriting. I tried to learn calligraphy just to fix it. And so now every time, not every time, I shouldn't say that, but when I'm sitting around my classroom, I've been, when I've had the opportunity to just sit there and wait for kids to finish work, I've kind of been starting practicing letters and improving on my left hand. And because kids, especially 12-year-olds, are always kind of watching you and seeing what you're doing, and it's one of the ways that they socialize and learn by socialization. Um, one of them came up to me and asked me why, what I was doing. They saw the paper and they're like, "What are you doing with this?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to learn to write with my left hand." And they asked me, "Why? Why would you do that? Don't you?" And I was like, "Well, because it's fun to learn." And they kind of looked at me really, really odd. Uh, and I've thought about this moment a couple times because I don't think that what I was doing was particularly interesting. I also have a cheat sheet for sign language on my desk that a student gave me because I showed them that I was interested in learning what they were learning, and I really haven't learned any of that. I'm terrible at it, but there's at least the interest there. Um, but it kind of goes back to that idea that comes over and over again, in my opinion, with um, I don't know, you've heard this probably before, even said this before, is like, what's the point of learning this? There's always that discussion in school about that this doesn't seem like it would affect me in the real world. And uh, this interaction I had about trying to practice my left hand made me realize that there's a better answer than what I've been giving this whole time to kids. A lot of times I'll be like, well, no, you just don't know that you're going to use this yet because you haven't learned it yet. You don't know how much you're going to use basic algebra in your day-to-day life. And that's true. I'm not going to take away that the fact that I do agree with it myself. And I do think that I'm not like lying to these kids and saying like, yeah, you're going to use this thing. Because the fact of the matter is a lot of times when you don't know something, you don't realize how much it's applicable. You have to learn it first. And sometimes that means that you don't know why you're going to need this or when you're going to need this. But that kind of brings me to my larger point is I didn't realize I was going to be a teacher when I was 12. Um, I thought I was going to be a marine biologist, and I was interested in marine biology, like many did, and because of that, I then got interested in robotics, which I think got me interested in uh, the Mars rovers, which made me think that I was going to become a rover technician, and then from there on, I didn't ever expect to be a teacher, nor did I expect to end up being I need a lot more copper. Nor do I expect to stay being a teacher. I think there's this preconceived notion that people have that they're going to be the thing that they've chosen for the rest of their lives. And the more that I've spent time with that concept, and the more adults I've talked to, I feel like that idea doesn't exist anymore. Like, we don't stay in one profession for the rest of your life. Like, people just don't do that anymore. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not I don't think that's a bad thing at all, actually. I think that's a good thing that people change up. I think about my grandpa who spent his entire life working for the railroad. I don't think that careers exist in that way for most people. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing. But what that means is you never know what skills you're going to need. I went to school for political science, and now I teach English. Those are not related on the surface, but in reality they are. I mean, my political science degree is really just, hey, can you write well degree? Can you write about statistics, please? And that's what I learned for all that time. Like, it wasn't that complicated when it came to what I actually ended up doing, but it changed and developed me. Every single skill that I've used to some degree, I should have done that, is something that has then helped me in the future. And I didn't know it was going to help me until I tried, because I wouldn't have known then. So the answer to the question of why do we learn things is because you don't know when it could be helpful. And maybe that's the point, and they're like, why would I ever use this? And the answer is the question itself is like, you don't know when you're going to use this. You could use this to do all sorts of things. You want more opportunities in your life. When things are going rough, when you lose your job, when you don't know what you want to be, shouldn't you want more options? I think that maybe this doesn't fully work for a 12-year-old. And sometimes these statements that I'm making, these little videos that I've decided to make for myself, are kind of me trying to respond, figure out how to teach kids who have questions, because I want to answer their questions better. It's not like I want to be inspiring. I just want to help them live a better life. And one of the biggest things I see is that there's this resistance to learning, and that's okay. Learning's hard, but that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be hard. Nothing. Well, that's not true. I hate the statement that nothing easy is worth doing. Like, there is things that are easy that are worth doing as well, like brushing your teeth, okay? That's easy. You should do it. But the point is that I'm making is that you should be wanting to learn for the rest of your life. It doesn't just go for 12-year-olds. I think about adults now that I interact with, and I've realized that they're not learning actively, and that puts them at a disadvantage for most of their life. And I don't think there's some magic way you can teach this. I don't think that you can just fix people and make them learn and suddenly they want to learn. You kind of have to do the hard thing. You just have to do it. And that sucks. You just have to do it. You just have to learn. Sorry, there's no other way to do it. You just have to go through the path. Now, there's certain ways to make learning easier and to make it so teaching. That's the whole point of teaching in the end. But that doesn't mean that there's not times where you're going to struggle and there's not times where you're going to not understand. But that's the beauty of it. That's the point. Because if you do it now, when the time comes when you need that information, you're going to have it. I don't see any other way to explain it than that. And maybe I'm rambling too much. I don't want to ramble too much. But the point of learning and the reason why we learn things even when they don't make sense, or maybe we don't know why they would apply, is because we don't know when they could apply. But by learning now, we're preparing for our future. It gives you more options. And I think everyone should want more options. And the process of learning means that you learn better in the future. So maybe you don't learn what you wanted to right now, but by learning how to, say, solve a two-step equation in Algebra 1, it might be the case that that doesn't help you right now, but the process of you growing does help you in the end. This has been a lot less of Minecraft this time. I've been kind of distracted.